Out of all of the possible icons or symbols that could have been chosen for Christianity, why is it the cross that is the predominant symbol? Why is that the symbol of Christianity? It seems kind of strange too, because it's like if, for example, Jesus got killed by a shotgun, would people wear shotguns around their neck? Which, if they did, that to me would be very disrespectful, right? So the method of his death being worn around everybody's neck instead of something else. So, but that's not the question. The question is, why was the cross the chosen symbol of Christianity?
In the early church, the cross was not the predominant symbol of Christianity. It was rather the fish. Fish was the symbol. Why was the fish a symbol of Christianity? You still see, the fish symbol, but that was the symbol for the first 3 centuries, the most central symbol in the church. It's for a number of reasons, make you fishes. I mean, fish come up quite a bit in the stories of the New Testament, but it's also the Greek word ichthys for fish is an acrostic for ichthys, Jesus Christ, Son of God, Savior. So, moreover, that was a way for Christians to greet each other using a fish, which the Roman Empire would not have picked up on. A cross was a symbol they were deeply aware of. This is really going to change dramatically in the 4th century. In the 4th century, the most important, or the second most important convert to Christianity emerges, and that's Constantine. Following his battle, in the end, it means in the fall of 312, Constantine, the emperor of Rome, will assign his military success, one of the most important battles in history, to the Christian God. Now, why did he convert? Why did he assign his victory in 312 to the Christian God? So there are not many, but there are a few stories, and they're not the same, about what happened from the 4th century. But the story that seems to have gained the traction was that as Constantine was set to go to battle, he saw the cross in the sky, and that's what made him believe. So the cross emerges by the end of the 4th century as the symbol of Christianity, and that becomes the symbol on the shields of of Constantine's army and of Christian army, of the Crusaders' armies, right? The French Crusade in the end of the 11th century. The shields were, of course, crosses. So crosses emerge as the dominant symbol of Christianity. I think also there is a certain theme that makes the cross attractive. And this is in one way, going to go, oh, that makes sense. I know that's true, but it's kind of odd. The New Testament is always portraying the people who are victorious in the end as the meek. This even comes up, of course, in the Beatitudes. I mean, that Jesus was born in a manger. That's a place that horses eat from. That's in Luke's version of the infancy narrative. It's not Matthew. Just the idea that he came to his own, but they received him not. Early, the book of John, that's the prologue. A prophet is not without honor except from his own countrymen. What good thing can come from Nazareth? Who are the people who discover the empty tomb? Well, although the 4 Gospels disagree on how many women were there, they're all women. Now, that's probably a later developed story that women were there, probably because it doesn't appear in Paul's letters. But in Matthew, there are 2 women there. In Mark, there are 3 women there. In Luke, there are more than 4 women at the tomb. And in John, there's 1 woman at the tomb. But the point is, they're women. Why? So Christians try to make an argument out of this and go, women, who would believe a woman? It must be true. No, that's exactly the opposite. The Christian Bible is trying to say that, you come from the most meager place. Now, what was the most outrageous form of death in the Roman Empire? Crucifixion. The death penalty was used widely in the Roman Empire, but crucifixion was not the execution method of choice. If someone was caught murder or whatever, they would not crucify you. They would have many ways to execute you, but crucifixion wasn't the choice. Why? It was just very expensive, very elaborate. Crucifixion meant they needed a stake, and the person was up there for days in public. The estimate is, I don't even know, tens of thousands of Jews were crucified in the first century. And imagine walking in Jerusalem, where I live, and you just see hundreds of people naked, tied to a cross, and starving to death, trying to hold themselves up. Eventually, your legs gave out, and once they did, your body collapsed, and then you died of asphyxiation because your lungs became elongated. The case I want to make is that the Christian Bible is trying to portray, as it comes up in the Beatitudes in the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, as, blessed are the meek, they will ultimately have it all. So the idea is that the person who died in the most unflattering way, and that's what crucifixion was. Again, crucifixion was not, what's used in the United States, a lethal injection. And it wasn't being hung, it wasn't a guillotine. It was meant not just to inflict pain, but it was to humiliate the victim. Imagine being on a cross. Jerusalem has very just mild weather. 8 out of the 12 months, 3/4 of the year, Jerusalem has fabulous weather, really great weather. The winter's a little cold, and right now it's very hot, but basically it's nice weather. People would languish on crosses for days before they gave all out. So I think that this idea that every person should carry his own cross, so that there was fertile ground for the cross to emerge as we're willing to suffer on behalf of Christ. And somehow when the Jews suffer, that shows how wrong they are and how cursed they are. So this is going to come up in the Christian literature, and the cross certainly after Constantine, meaning after 312, meaning the 4th century, the cross is going to emerge as the most significant symbol of the church rather than the fish, which we find in archaeology, but we generally find the fish used in the earlier centuries of the church. That's a really great question. Thank you.
If you enjoy this channel and the content, and it has changed your life, or perhaps the life of a loved one or a close friend, would you please consider supporting this work? You can click this link and it'll take you directly to my website with the donate button. Or there's a Patreon link and a mailing address for snail mail if you would prefer. If you do donate, please do me a favor and leave me a phone number where I can contact you and thank you properly. I hope you all have a wonderful 2025. Shalom.